Hello, welcome to Arun in Denmark podcast. Today we will be talking about veganism, topics that I have very limited knowledge about, and I have with me Krutika Mathu. Welcome to the show, Krutika.
Thanks for inviting Arun. It's a pleasure from my side as well.
Yeah, I've invited Krutika to talk about veganism. But before we explore about veganism or vegan foods or anything related to veganism, I wanted to know more about Krutika. So, Krutika, give us a quick little introduction about yourself.
So, as you said, I'm Krutika Mathu and I moved to Denmark in 2016 because I
Mm-hmm.
married to a person who was working here, and that was the start of the journey.
Mm.
And we have two children who are 5 and 3 years old. And and I run a vegan catering here in Denmark. So, this is a brief introduction about me. Yeah.
Vegan catering. That sounds exotic. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I have been a vegetarian in India. I used to be a vegetarian. I've transitioned into consuming meat once a week, maybe twice a week if I am lucky. And then as I moved to Denmark, ever since the last 4.5 years, I've never ever stopped consuming meat. I've actually consumed more meat than normally that I do. And for me, I don't know what is the difference between veganism and vegan foods. So you have to enlighten me with vegan first, and when did you transition, or you have been vegan since child, or give us your story.
Sure. So first I'll just give the difference between veganism and vegetarianism because
Mm,
most of us who are coming from India would be vegetarians where
mm,
it is okay to consume egg and milk products
mm, mm,
and honey. So when
mm.
you talk about veganism or plant-based lifestyle, you eat the produces straight from the plants. So you don't take any products from dairy, including milk, yogurt, cheese,
Mm,
paneer, whatsoever, and no
mm,
egg and no honey.
mm,
So you eat the straight food that is grown from the plants. So that is
mm,
veganism or plant-based, or
mm,
you can just name it as you wish.
mm,
And I was not raised as a vegan, but I was
mm,
raised as a vegetarian
mm.
in a family that was eating vegetarian food for over 7 generations, and we were allowed
Wow.
to
Okay.
eat. I would not say allowed, but we had the freedom of eating cakes that had eggs.
Okay.
And dairy products, especially butter, was like the
Mm,
preliminary food in my diet until
mm,
the last 3 years or 2 years. Yeah.
mm,
So I cannot eat anything without butter. I cannot cook
mm.
anything without butter. So that is how
Okay.
my life was.
Mm,
So the transition, I think it was the decision was like a morning breakfast decision. But the
okay.
transition, I think it took a lot of years from my side and also from the side of my husband because it was a joint decision in a family when it
Mm,
comes to diet. I think it is very important the decision should be collective. You cannot force anybody on their food
mm,
choices because it's their freedom.
mm.
So, like once we visited one of the farms in Denmark, and I was so curious in seeing a tag called golden cows. The term
Okay.
golden cows was like giving me a curiosity to see what it is because we all know the golden milk, the turmeric milk our mothers used to give when we get sick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The term golden cows was like, what is this? And I was just Googling,
Mm,
and all these informations are from Google. So
okay.
it explained that it was the pregnant cows that were set aside
Mm,
so they can have more rest, and they can, once they give birth, they can give more milk to their calves and all those things. And when I was
mm,
just digging deep, I could
mm,
see a lot of informations about how pregnancies happen in cows these days, where
mm,
most of the pregnancies are artificial and they are given a
mm,
lot of injections and
mm,
hormones, and that shook me a bit, but that did not, make me a decision to turn plant-based.
mm,
And we also read a lot of books, and like we, in the sense, I mean me and my husband, and when we have, a discussion or a brainstorming about the books we read, we found that the ancient man was consuming more on plants and fruits and anything that was, looking exotic for him to eat. And later, when the civilization grew, and later, when the seasonal changes were happening, when the man did not get any food to eat, he started moving towards animal food. So we came to this world as plant eaters. So that thing, strike us, and the discussions were just going, and there was no deviation or talks on that we should turn plant based. So on breakfast, I still remember the day and what exactly happened. On a breakfast table, I was drinking a hot chocolate and my husband was drinking his coffee, and we were just talking. Our kids were also with us. So we were just talking about mammals and a lot of things, and we were discussing that if a human being is giving its milk only to another human being, why should we drink the milk of a cow?
Okay.
And that question was like a complete game changer. And luckily, that day was the day where we had to supply all our, restock all our milk and yogurt and cheese. And we decided, okay, we are stopping it. And it was
But then
just
what did you do to replace the milk? Did you buy plant-based milk?
initially, no,
Okay.
that we didn't do that
Okay.
because whenever I am personally a kind of person, whenever I buy something that is packed, I look into the
Mm.
ingredients. So
Okay.
I was just, going through the ingredients, and I found that the plant-based milk, if you say oat milk or rice milk or
Mm.
almond milk, whatever milk,
Mm.
it has
Mm.
only 10 to 12% maximum of that particular main core ingredient, and all
Mm.
others are oil and other things. So we
Okay.
were not ready to, make a transition to an alternative. And I am a kind of person who uses a lot of coconut and coconut milk in my cooking. Though coconut
Mm.
milk is not suitable or not gives a good flavor to coffees or cocos, we didn't mind it because
Mm.
somewhere down the line the thought had been in our mind, and it just came out of the breakfast table discussion. So we personally did not look in for any alternative food, but for my catering, when I had to provide for my clients, I started as a vegetarian catering, and I ran as a vegetarian catering for like 6 7 months, and then we
Mm.
transitioned to vegan, and then I didn't want to go for dairy based food even for my clients. So
Mm.
that point of time, I had to find out alternatives. So for
Mm.
paneer, I had to try tofu, and like for the desserts I used to make with whole milk, I had to try a lot of alternatives with coconut milk, and I succeeded in most of the you know processes with a lot of trials.
Alternatives.
Yeah,
Mm.
alternatives, but it's predominantly the coconut milk I make from home and not the store bought. Because again, in
Mm.
coconut milk, you get the problem of, some kind of a preservative added to it. So,
Mm.
in our perspective, for our family, we did not have any necessity to look into alternatives. But I don't
Mm.
think it would be a case with a person who is a meat eater or a vegetarian who wants to transition into a vegan lifestyle. So one of the most important thing is that we don't have to be harsh on ourselves. When you are
Mm.
changing your lifestyle, it should be like a step by step process. It cannot happen like an overnight process, like how it happened to us. So
But and that is where I have this question. So
yeah.
you said when you moved to Denmark and you had this impact on seeing a cow, and then you and your husband has convinced that we want to have this change, transition. Uh, of course, then you look for ways to find your life, around uh, mostly vegan choices, and my quick impression when you said that is that then should it be an expensive option, or is it how does the financial go, because choosing to go with something that is not that common my perspective is that I don't think plant-based is that popular, but you can correct me if I'm wrong here. How about the economy of buying a plant-based food or vegan choices? Is it expensive or is it the same price in
It
line
is
with?
cheaper. It is
Seriously?
cheaper. Yes.
Okay.
I can give an example with the numbers. Like we were
Okay.
using the Tise brand's milk,
TC,
3.5
what is that?
at Tise brand. It's a brand of milk from the Jersey
Okay.
cows. So before we
Okay.
turned vegan, so the milk was when we stopped. I think the 1 liter of milk was 15 crowns,
Yeah.
and for a family of
13,
two
15
adults
kronas. Yeah.
and two kids, we easily buy 7 or 8 liters of milk,
Mm.
and I easily use 200 to 300 grams of butter a week,
Mm.
2 or 3
Okay.
liters of yogurt. It's all cut.
Okay. And how did
Instead,
you
I
find
replaced it with
alternatives?
a lot of fruits.
Okay.
I replaced it with seeds. Like if you are buying a pumpkin seed in a supermarket, you would get a seed, a packet of 200 grams, I guess, for like 20-ish crowns. But if you're getting it online, 1 kg or 2 kg, where you use it for like 4 to 6 months based on the expiry date, you get it more cheaper. And in online, you get the organic products, which is again a plus point. So that way, like when we used to calculate our expenses before turning vegan and after turning vegan, our expenses had come down more than 15%, I could say. Yeah,
15 is a big number
it's a
because
big number.
so if I let's say want to switch to buy alternatives, right? I drink milk. I consume milk with cocoa. Sometimes I also had oats and all these dark chocolates. My favorite, favorite breakfast. So if I have to switch from let's say cow-based milk, the ecologisk milk, which is 1.5 percentage fat, sometimes it's also 3 percentage, right?
Yeah.
And if I want to switch that to a plant-based milk, because I don't want to get or give out the the feeling that I don't want to consume it. I want to consume milk, but if I switch, do you think that remaining 90 percentage of the ingredients are not harmful, or because they are not, as you pointed out, 10 percentage is what you think is good enough, and the remaining
Yeah.
90 is probably artificial. When you
Yeah.
say artificial, is it still healthy, or is it like a supplement to balance what milk consumers need? Maybe I'm
Well,
a bit
a lot of researchers says that we don't need milk. A
okay.
lot of researchers says that to have nutrients, we don't have to have milk.
Mm,
So it is all the preconceived notions that, the society gives to us. So if at all you want to make a change, I would rather say don't switch completely if you are not ready. And if you want to try, I would say if you are drinking coffee with 100% cow's milk, you can use 70% cow's milk and 30% some other non-dairy milk, and
okay.
try different permutations and combinations to understand what suits your taste bud, because a lot of people have an imagination that when you turn vegan you eat just raw food, raw vegetables and raw fruits, and you
That
don't
is how
get.
I imagine.
No, it is not like that. If you look at our South Indian food menu, just take off the butter part, everything is vegan.
Yeah,
The
idli,
everything
sambar,
we eat,
dosa, everything is
yeah,
same.
everything is vegan. So it's all the things that we have in the mind. So for us, me personally or my husband, we love a lot of taste and a lot of flavors in our food. Even if there is a small, difference in the flavors, I'm eating out. Say for example, I'm eating out in a restaurant and I didn't like the flavor, or that flavor did not match up to my expectation. Even if I come back at 10 in the night, I would try to replicate the recipe with the level of my taste bud, eat it and then go sleep at 12 in the night. I am so obsessed with taste. So for a person like me who has turned plant-based, it is I could find more flavors and more, more different exotic combinations of dishes when I'm doing a lot of trials, and I feel contented. So if a person who is so foodie, so much, into the taste and flavor is able to bring everything in the plant-based food, then I don't think it's not hard or it's not tough. But all that you need is a clarity on why you want to do it. Like if you're already a vegetarian or if you are already a vegan for some reason, for health or for ethical reason or whatsoever, then it would be easier for you to get into the transition. But if you just want to try, then you should have a clear motivation on why you're doing it. So
My motivation.
in
Yeah.
that case, you can start with alternatives, which is not wrong, because each and every single food we are consuming, we don't know where the roots are. We assume it is healthy and we are consuming it. So it is more of the mind game than the mouth or tongue or digestive systems game.
Here is where I think I need some clarification, because of course today on a given day, if I start counting how much amount of protein I take, it's primarily through meat, chicken. I eat a lot of chicken, and I've consumed a lot of meat on a given day. I work out every day, all working days, and to build up muscles, my coach personally told me you have to have surplus of protein, and the amount of ingredients that he has given starts from, let's say, cottage cheese, which is like the vegetarian side of it, and
Yeah.
then chicken. Apart from chicken, he mentioned a lot about chickpeas, cottage cheese, and then also Greek yogurt. Now, none of these items are actually, based on whatever I understood, is veganism. So I want your suggestion. If I have to, like, let's say, instead of 5 days a week, can I try 2 days a week with alternatives that has protein in vegan choices? What would you recommend me to consume?
So if you are a person into taste,
Yeah.
I would I would suggest go try the alternatives, because compared to India, we get a lot of alternatives in the European market. When you compare it with France or Germany, Denmark has limited options, but still you have a lot of options. And we have only soya as a meat alternative for protein in India. But here
Okay.
they make a lot of soya chunks looking meat tasting dishes from green peas, from
Okay.
double beans,
Okay.
and from chickpeas. So there are a lot of environmental friendly brands coming out with meat alternatives.
And where do I
Since
buy them? Because I see Netto Superboosten, and there's also Ecologisk
you can
365, right?
find all these alternatives in Superbooksen
Yeah.
quickly.
Okay.
And I have personally not visited this big shop Bilka, but I've heard
Okay.
from a lot of my clients that Bilka has a very good collection of vegan alternatives.
Okay.
And they also have great offers on
Okay.
the vegan products. So,
I
yeah.
have I have Quickly, and I live in Ghent after, by the way. So I think I
Mhm.
have both Quickly and Superbooks are next to me. So
Yes.
this is my goal for this week. If I go on weekends, I'm going to
Okay.
buy, try, and then let
Fine.
you know as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
So
Okay.
this is
So
with
you have any
alternatives.
particular
But
brand?
with whole food,
Yeah.
you can take a different varieties of lentils. You know,
Lentils. Yeah.
you have different kind of dals, you have different kinds of beans, and if you are a kind of person who don't have time to cook the beans, you can get it in tins. Like you get tin chickpeas, white and brown, you get tin kidney
Okay.
boners, you get white double beans, you get soya beans. I have seen close to 10 to 12 varieties minimum of beans in all the supermarkets. And in
Okay.
organic, at least 2 months once you get a doser for like 5 crowns. So yeah, so you can also check in for alternatives which are whole food and not processed. And about the brand you are asked for, one of the brand that I am using is Plant Mate. It is like a soya chunk that is more easier to cook than soya chunk, because soya chunk you'll have to put it in the boiling water, allow it to get softened, and then add to a curry. But this one
Okay.
you can
Yeah.
just add straight to the curry. In 5-10 minutes, it gets completely absorbed.
Mm.
So that was one brand I tried, and me being a vegetarian, I couldn't compare it with any of the animal food. But my husband was a meat eater, so he felt that he could, feel the sensation of eating meat in that. And a lot of my
Okay.
clients also, approved that brand. So that could be one of the alternative. And there are also a lot of brands which I cannot remember the name, has burger patties made from
Okay.
beetroot, potatoes, and green peas. So that could also be an option if somebody wants to just, put it in between a sandwich and eat. So there
Mm.
are a lot of opportunities, and if you are a person who has time, you can just blend the beans with some potatoes and beetroots, and you can make your own patty, freeze it, and eat it. So yeah, so the choices are like unlimited. It is just that we'll have to mindfully look for it. Yeah.
That is well said about conscious decision making and living, right? I think we spoken about, of course, your transition and then the choices that you make uh, and the alternatives that you chose to, and also the prices of these foods. Walk us through on your venture about setting up a vegan based business and catering to locals in Denmark. Why did you want to actually do this specifically for vegan and not vegetarian food? Because I think Indian food is quite popular in Denmark. We know that, everybody knows that. But the first thing that people say is chicken tikka masala. I don't know if people know that actually more Indians are vegetarians, but chicken tikka masala is like quite popular everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you want to change the notion of that identity to switch from chicken to vegan, or what was your motto behind
Well,
vegan foods?
starting a catering was itself not in cards for me.
Okay.
I was a homemaker, but I learned a lot of art forms when I was in India during my school days. So I was
Mm.
conducting art classes for kids, and
Okay.
I play a traditional Indian instrument called veena. So I was taking
Yeah.
veena classes. So that was what my side, hustle.
Hustle.
And yeah, so and in our kids kindergarten we have this working day every year, and there were a lot of volunteering jobs, and one such job was cooking food for like 50 people, which cooking food is something I love. And 50 people, the
Mm.
number is not a problem for me. Raised in a joint family, cooking for 50 is like we just do it for a small get together at home with two
In
or three
India,
cousins.
in India, it's okay, but in Denmark, it's
Yeah,
like party, right? Celebration. 50 is like
yeah.
wow,
So it's
50
like a
people.
wedding party.
That's like a wedding.
So yeah, and I think I was pregnant with my second child then, and that was the easiest thing I could choose, and I made palak with the spinach with corn,
Mm.
and a soup or rasam, how we call it, with
Yeah.
tomatoes and dal, a rice and a chapati, and it was a big hit.
Mm.
And after a couple of months, one of the parents in the kindergarten called me and asked if I could do food for their family get together for like 20 people. And I was like, why are you asking me? There are a lot of caterers, you could just ask me. And he was like, no, we liked the taste and we thought you should cook for us. And then I started exploring how to set up a home kitchen. Because
Mm.
living in a village, if I'm going to set up a restaurant, that's not going to work economically. And I have two little kids, so I have to cater their needs. So, like, that was the priority. And like, one beautiful thing in Denmark is like, if you have to start a business, it is so easy and you get all the resources. Only that you'll have to have the patience to translate it into English and read, or you have a lot of people who help you. So I
Mm.
just called up the food ministry and I told, see, this is what I want to do. Can you please give me all the rules and regulations in English? And can you guide me how to set up a home kitchen? Is it possible? And all those things. And they gave me all the rules and regulations, and it was like more easy for me because When it comes to kitchen, I'm a very organized person. I have, if a salt is taken here, it should be kept back there, and the kitchen should be always clean. I have those rules, so it was like so easy for me to incorporate the rules the government gave, and I registered the kitchen, and then I did the food, for them. So that is how the journey started, and when we did that, I was a vegetarian. So it was a vegetarian takeaway. And the moment we decided we are turning vegan, I made a choice and a decision that I am not going to touch any animal based food. So
Okay.
I just put a message in my Facebook page to the clients I had that from now on we are going to be vegan, and I'm looking forward for your support. And there was not even a single person who asked me why I did that. They were very much supportive. They told, okay,
Okay.
fine, just give us the menu for the next week. So, yeah, so there was no questioning on why I was doing, and people were in acceptance. And I would say that I got more clients after turning vegan from
That's interesting.
vegetarian. And as you said before, there is always this question when I introduce to somebody that I am Kritika and I have a vegan takeaway or an Indian takeaway. When can I order chicken tikka masala from you? This would be the first question. And the second question, Indian food. I think it would be very spicy. So these are the two comments that I've, come across in the past 3 odd years. And it all it all changes when people taste the food. So, like, we might have n number of opinions about plant-based food, and we might have n number of opinions about animal-based food and a lot of things. But unless until we have a real experience about that particular thing, we cannot come to a conclusion. So I had this pedagogue, like the caretaker in my child's kindergarten, who had visited India 25 years before, and she still talks about that chicken tikka masala. So when she eats my food, she's like, I was in India, but I did not try all these foods. I missed it. So it's like there are some top of the mind foods, and there are some brands that had already been established about Indian food or vegan food, but it's more about the amount of energy we take to convince people to try it. So I am not a great person with marketing. So the past 3 years, my business is growing only because of word of mouth and not because of any Facebook post or any because of any other marketing strategy. So it is that one person eats, gets convinced, brings another person. So that is how I am growing organically. So it is a challenge as a business. But I am convinced and happy because at the end of the evening, when I get a message from the person immediately after the party or after the dinner that everybody enjoyed the food and they did not miss meat, that is a success. So,
That is a impressive story to also listen,
yeah.
because I think you pointed out some of the most important points. How the clients trusted you in the transition from vegetarian to vegan choice, and also perspectives of people about Indian foods, stereotypical food. And I could honestly say, being a South Indian, my favorite food, whenever I go to Chennai, even today, or even Bangalore, the first thing that I ask for is a masala dosa, and also
Of
the podi
course.
dosa. For the
Yeah.
audiences listening to the podcast, I think masala dosa is an emotion. Sambar is
Yes.
also quite
Yeah.
popular staple choice. Idli is more healthier,
Yeah.
steam cooked food. And do you have these choices or menus in your menu,
Yes.
or
Yes.
what is your go to product that you sell in Denmark?
Um, like I don't have a fixed menu. The menu is
Okay,
seasonal because when I
okay,
started in the beginning, I was using a lot of Indian vegetables in my cooking.
okay.
And as I moved further, reading a lot of things and understanding a lot more about food, when I started the business, it was only the passion for cooking. I started it, but I got myself educated more about food, more about the ingredients and how to source it. It was like a step by step growth when my business grew. When my clients trusted me, it was more with the trust. I had to understand what I am giving to them. I should be answerable. So it is a huge responsibility when somebody is trusting you in a completely different land. They are trusting you, and most of my clients, 90% of my clients are local Danish people. So I
Wow.
have to be trustworthy. So I do a lot of research, a lot of groundwork, and you know, after one vacation to India, after I started my Indian feast, I found a lot of difference in the taste of the vegetables that I ate in India and that I ate here. It is not fresh because of the transport. A lot of things, happens, and we'll have to accept it. And then I started exploring a lot of local vegetables and use it in the use it in the Indian cooking. We make this dish called kootu with soraka, or what is it called? The rigid gourd, or all these gourds. It is basically a dish with dal and a watery vegetable together. And I tried it with zucchini, and it's a massive hit. It is for somebody who doesn't want to try spicy food. So it's a less flavored version of sambar, but it is a very wholesome meal. If you have a whole cup of kootu with zucchini, a dal with zucchini, you're full. It has the flavors of cumin, it has the flavors of coconut, it has the flavor of mustard seeds, curry leaves, and a lot of spices. So I started trying alternative vegetables here in Denmark. So like in the fall, we'll have a lot of dishes with pumpkin. So in the spring and summer, there'll be a lot of dishes with potato, like dum aloo and potato and cauliflower masala, and a lot of things, vegetable kurma, and like the most sorted out or the most loved dish from us is masala dosa and channa butter masala, which is like an alternative to paneer butter masala, and kottu barota. Kottu barota is like the
Oh,
most loved among the meat
my
eating Danish
mom's
population.
favorite.
So we make paratha from the scratch, and we make the kottu barota. It is like the layered bread. For the audience who doesn't know what kottu barota is, it is a layered South Indian bread made with maida or all-purpose flour, which is then pulled into pieces, and then
Yeah.
it is cooked along with the flavorful curry with a lot of vegetables. And sometimes when the client asks, I use these plant meat alternative as well, and that is a huge hit. So whenever people say that they are having meat eaters in the party and they are not happy eating vegan food, kuttu parota would be there on the menu, at least as a
Okay.
complimentary dish. So yeah, these
How
are
should one, yeah, how should one contact you if you have a website or any platform where
I
they
don't
could,
have a website yet,
or
but I have a Facebook page which is called Indian Feast Gunsamaule, and the same
okay,
in Instagram as well. Indian Feast
okay.
Gunsamaule. Yeah.
For the audiences listening to the podcast, I will have that link embedded in the description of the video. I hope I'm definitely going to try this. I've never tried something exotic. It's going to be fun for me, and also, I think it's also like kottu paratha. If you say that's a lot of. There's a lot of effort in making a kottu paratha also,
Yeah.
right? It's a lot of time
Yes.
that
Yeah.
consumes. And
Yeah.
and and you spoke about your primary consumers are being Danish.
Yes.
What made you decide that the Danes will actually opt for this? Because usually when we open an Indian restaurant, the primary participants would be like to support each other Indian. Like you name whatever restaurant, I think they have a good population of Indian coming there. What
Yes.
makes Danish people come taste your food? What is special about your
It
uh,
it
choices?
was it was again an economical reason why I concentrated more on Danish people, because I live in a village. So I'm not a part of the greater Copenhagen area. So I live in a village near Roskilde, and the predominant population of my village is the local Danish community. So living here, I cannot, shout out for the people from Copenhagen to come and buy from me. And if it is for like 2 or 3 portions, it would not be feasible for me to come and deliver in Copenhagen as well. Either ways. So based on my location, I had to work with Danish people, and it was the idea of the Danish people which converted into a business. It was a Danish family who asked me to cook for their party. So whenever, like when we moved to this village, we were the first complete Indian family who moved here. So
Wow.
whenever I see people in the supermarket or in the library, they'll be like, "Ah, Adu from Indian. Are you from Indian? Can you make good Indian food? Can you make masala dosa? Can you make butter masala?" That was a remark, and all those things created an interest in me to make the dishes, and it was the trust I had in the local community. I started this business, and the trust is, growing every day, and they don't fail me. So that is the reason why most of my clients are Danish. And again, when it comes to our own Indian community, people always have this question like, vegetarian fine? How come vegan? I delivered food for a housewarming function, and I made this sweet pongal, which is like one of the main ingredient, a main dish in all our morning festivals or morning gatherings like weddings or housewarming or whatever. So the host was like so reluctant, but he wanted somebody who makes an authentic, he wanted to get food from a place which doesn't have meat inside.
Okay.
So that was the reason he was more compelled, towards getting it from me. And he was like,
He's picky.
"Kritika, are you sure you can make sweet pongal without butter?" And I was like, "Trust me, I'll do it for you." And he did not believe that I didn't use butter.
That how come you made that? What was the
Coconut
secret
oil.
behind?
Coconut
Yeah,
oil.
yeah.
The place I used to use 100 grams of butter, I used only 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and it was more than enough to give the flavor. So a lot of times we have this mental block thinking that would it be good? It would be good only if we try it. If we don't try it, it will never be good. So it's more like when people ask me like, "Ah, are you sure that your clients are only Danes, or are you sure you'd be able to cater the market?" It's all about creating an interest to try, which is really hard. Like people who knows about Indian food or who is interested in trying a vegan food, they would come. But there I have come across a lot of challenges. I told you all the sweet endings, but there were also a lot of thorns in my journey, like the places where I put food boats, like the festivals and all those things, where predominant of the community wants to eat something with the beer.
Mm,
I
mm,
don't come there, and I used to stand like, what is happening for hours without business. I have also seen that side of that side of the mindset in my journey. So it is
okay.
all about approaching the right client and understanding their needs. And like if somebody doesn't like lentils, then I should be able to cater them a vegan food without lentils, with more vegetables, giving them more flavor that they come back. So it is more about understanding. So if somebody is, a lot of people ask me, "You don't have a fixed menu." I don't have a fixed menu because my clients keep on changing, their interests keep on changing. If they try palak spinach for like 2 or 3 times, and if they try chickpeas for 2 or 3 times, the third or fourth time they want to try an alternative because they are already happy with this and they are open to try something new. So it is more about understanding the needs, and that is the reason why I don't have like a fixed menu. And again,
And you
the
also have a local produce, right? So local produce are
yes,
seasonal, and that is also why
yes,
it's easier to switch to based on seasons. Quick
true.
question though, like if some in some scenarios where people call you from Copenhagen or somewhere from other parts of Denmark, would you be able to let's say transport them, or you strictly say no to those offers, or what is the situation currently?
Well, currently, if it is weekends and if it is over 10 or 15 portions, we do deliver with the delivery charge, because I don't have a driver's license, so I have to rely on my husband for delivery.
to
So
to
he
transport that.
travels,
Okay.
Yeah. So when he is traveling or when he is at work, I cannot, disturb him. So weekends, if it is more than 10 or 15 portions, we do try to accommodate delivering to Copenhagen with a delivery charge. But most of the cases, people are kind enough to come and pick it up from
Pick it
me.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have
And
I
Roskilde on
have
road is
clients
not
from
that far.
Lowland. Yeah. So I have clients from Lowland that is more far away from Copenhagen
Okay.
who come for masala dosa, who come
So
for
they
kuttu
they
paratha.
they came from Jutland Peninsula.
No, lowland. The
Lowland first.
lower
Okay.
lowland. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
called this Southern Shillen, right?
Falster
Shillen.
or yeah, yeah,
Falster. Okay, but
yeah.
that's still a lot of I would say distances to cover.
True.
But I
It
think that
was
shows
close to
that it's
70
something
kilometers.
special.
They came all the way, bought, and went back for their 60th birthday party. So whenever that client, comes or crosses Copenhagen or Roskilde, 2 days before she'll write to me, Kritika, what can you make for me? She doesn't ask for things. What can you make for me? I trust you, you give it. So yeah. And that is
So
one thing. And
let's say if we have a participants, let's say 20 30 people, if I'm throwing out a party here in Copenhagen, and you decide the menu, but then how much
Mhm.
time does it take for you to cater to 20 people
I I
approximately?
would I would say minimum a week for 20 to 30
Okay.
people because I procure everything fresh right from
Wow.
the
Okay, so
vegetables.
you don't
I
you don't have like a stock
No,
items.
never.
Wow. Okay, that's all
Never.
completely 100%. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So like for now I'm doing dinner menus every Monday and Wednesday. So people order the before night and they get it Monday and Wednesday freshly prepared. So there's nothing frozen that comes, to your plate. Like frozen corns and frozen peas that are organic comes, but the main curry or, the main cooking process, nothing is like frozen. Everything is made fresh.
Fresh
And
produce.
yeah, and to add to it, I would also like to say that I do conduct cooking classes. So if you're a group of friends or if you are an office that has a kitchen, I do conduct cooking classes. So that is also something that I love doing. Teaching is like my passion. So yeah.
Elaborate a bit. So if let's say a group of 5 people decide to learn from you, they
Yeah.
have to have a kitchen in their house. So they invite you and you cook for them, or how
Yes.
you invite people to your kitchen.
No, I visit people and I cook for them.
Yeah, and
I
then okay, then
Yes, I'm
you
also
guide the
conducting
dish.
classes with FOF Roskilde. It's like an evening school, FOF. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can also find me there. Yeah.
Wow, that's news for me. And it's all let's say tailored to vegan based cooking.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And how conscious are expats? Because of course now you talk about local Danes buying from you. What is the percentage of expats awareness towards these choices in Denmark? Because I know people who have been living a lifestyle as a vegan, they look for vegan choices when they go to a new country. In my
True.
case, it's a complete opposite. If I want to switch, then I reach out to, let's say, someone who is doing such practices. So for an expat moving to Denmark, what would be the first piece of advice that you will give to them, and to say what are the choices that you have, or what do you want to give us your perspectives for new expats moving to Denmark?
So like when I moved here in 2016, as a vegetarian, I did not have any option. I had to land up only on pizzas or falafels. But now there are a lot of organizations that are taking initiative towards vegetarian and vegan food, and we have amazing restaurants in different ranges in Denmark. So if you are a tourist or if you want to try some vegan food before making a choice, there are a lot of restaurants in Copenhagen and that are exclusively making vegan food, and also there are almost all the restaurants when I check for dining out that did not have a single vegetarian dish in their menu has minimum two vegan options and minimum three or four vegetarian options in their menu.
Wow.
So initially, when you go to a restaurant that is predominantly famous for meat-based food, you will get a spaghetti with a little bit of tin tomato sauce, be it a top restaurant in the city. But now you have tailor-made choices if you want to eat out, and if you are on a budget and you cannot go to a restaurant, there are a lot of community dining. Denmark is known for community dining. So when we Google community dinners, vegan, you get 4 or 5 options that works monthly or bi-monthly or whatever. So, as an expert in the current situation or the scenario, it is not hard. If at all you don't want to eat out, you can buy all the vegetables of your choice, you can buy all the lentils of your choice, make your own dish. So it is all about the time. When you cannot make a complete dish, make a salad, get a tortilla, make a wrap, eat it. If you have more time, then make some nut butters, some tahinis, some peanut butters at home. Put it as a topping instead of butter. So there are a lot of opportunities. When you don't make it, you can buy it. And all the supermarkets has a separate, cabinet for vegan foods. Initially it was one row, and then it turned out to be 2 rows. Now they have a big shelf. And big supermarkets like Futex and Quickly, they have a complete row catering the vegan alternatives, or the vegan choices. So it is not as hard as we imagine it. It is just that we'll have to go explore those places, explore those shelves to see what we are going to get from them. Yeah.
I
So
think,
it
Kritika,
is not
we
hard as we imagine. Yeah.
no, I mean, what I was about to say is that I think for the last few months, it's extremely important for me to maintain my, let's say, choices, food choices. But I'm going to give it a try and see some of the changes that I want to make. I will give it a shot, and let's see how it goes in the future. But I had enough knowledge about vegan choices, and also heard enough story about you on your venture, your experiences with Danes, and then your choices, and your menus, and your passion for vegan foods. It was a pleasure having you, Kritika, and amazing to hear your story, and also for the expats and listeners in the podcast. If you want to reach out to Kritika for suggestions at classes, how to make food, or even if you want to order something, reach out to her. I will be attaching the link in the description below. Thank you once again, Kritika. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for inviting, Arun. It was a pleasure to share my journey, and I hope people would get some benefit out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah. So
Thank you
food
again.
is something that we need for every day, and making an informed choice is very important. We can consume whatever we like, but we should know what we are consuming. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good,
Yeah.
great, pleasure. Bye.
Yeah. Have a nice evening. Bye.